Let's start from a simple question. Have you ever set a New Year's resolution, like eating healthy or waking up at the crack of dawn, only to see it fade away after a couple of weeks? Yeah, I've been there too. We all dream of making big changes overnight, but let's be real, it rarely works that way. I found myself stuck in that cycle of trying to do too much too fast. But then I discovered something life changing: Kaizen. Turns out, slow and steady wins the race, especially when slow means occasionally hitting the snooze button. Kaizen is all about making small, consistent improvements. It might sound too simple to be effective, but trust me, it's powerful. And there's so much more to what Kaizen is, what it literally means, and how to actually apply it in everyday life. And if you want to know more about this technique, are tired of setting big goals and not sticking to them, and want to actually make your life change for the good, you, my friend, came to the right place. Let's see how Kaizen can help you master the art of continuous improvement, one small step at a time. The power of Kaizen, continuous improvement made simple. Okay, so beginning with the basic thing. What exactly does Kaizen mean? Kaizen is a Japanese word that translates to good change or improvement, but it's more than just a simple phrase. It's a philosophy that focuses on continuous incremental improvements. This approach is about making small, manageable changes that add up over time, rather than going for drastic, overnight transformations. Now you might be wondering where this term came from. Kaizen became widely known after World War II, when Japan adopted it to rebuild and innovate. The philosophy was popularized by Mr. Masaki Imai, who wrote the book Kaizen, The Key to Japan's Competitive Success. This book is often referred to as the Kaizen Bible because it laid out the principles of this powerful method. So why should you consider trying the Kaizen methodology? Well, let's face it, rapid changes can be overwhelming. When we try to make big changes all at once, our brains can feel threatened. This triggers a fight or flight response, making us more likely to abandon our new habits and return to our old ways. It's a common reason why many of us struggle with sticking to New Year's resolutions or other big goals. Kaizen, on the other hand, is about taking things slow and steady. It's about making small changes that are easy to manage. For example, if you're trying to start a new exercise routine, instead of committing to an hour at the gym every day, start with just 5 minutes of stretching. Once that becomes a habit, you can gradually increase the time and intensity. This way, you're less likely to feel overwhelmed and more likely to stick with it. The beauty of Kaizen is that it can be applied to almost any area of life. Whether it's improving your health, relationships, or work, the principle remains the same. Small, continuous improvements lead to significant results over time. This method not only helps in making changes more manageable, but also reduces the stress and anxiety associated with big changes. Now the question is Kaizen the right fit for you? Sometimes life throws unexpected changes our way. Some people are naturally disciplined and can handle big changes quickly. But for most of us, you and me, massive goals can feel overwhelming. We often find comfort in what's familiar, avoiding the unknown and unpredictable. So if giant commitments scare you, maybe it's time to consider improving yourself the Kaizen way. As I said, Kaizen is all about making small, consistent changes that add up over time. It's not about quick fixes or sudden transformations. When you follow the Kaizen approach, you focus on incremental improvements. Even when you start seeing success, you keep taking those small steps. Basically, Kaizen teaches us that self-improvement is a continuous process. You're always a work in progress. So you don't just stop when you think you've reached your goal or are about to reach your goal. You keep going, and that is how you improve in life. Let me be very straight here. Are you ready to commit to consistent change? Yes? Amazing. But if not, Kaizen might not be for you, because this approach requires patience and dedication. You won't get instant gratification. You'll have to steadily climb toward long-term success. So, why is Kaizen more efficient? The whole idea is to make tiny steps each day, aiming for just 1% improvement daily. Imagine it this way: if you improve by just 1% each day by the end of a year, you'll be almost 38 times better than when you started. That's the power of compounding. Small changes adding up over time to create a massive transformation. This gradual progress helps rewire our brains, making new behaviors feel less challenging. When you take small steps regularly, your brain builds new neural connections, making these changes feel natural over time. And with Kaizen, the journey never really ends. Even when you reach a goal, the mindset encourages you to keep improving. It's not about reaching a destination and then stopping. Success is part of a never-ending journey of growth. To truly embrace Kaizen, you need a journey-focused mindset rather than a goal-focused one. Kaizen also emphasizes evaluating and refining your improvement process. It's about finding ways to achieve your dreams and then figuring out how to do even better. This approach continually raises the bar, challenging you to reach new heights. Now that you know what it is, you need to get this straight. Kaizen is the only answer for your sloppy and lazy life. I'm saying this because I know it's all about starting small, being consistent, and making continuous progress. So let's get to the point. How can you improve yourself the Kaizen way? I'm going to share with you some small steps that when you apply in your daily life, you will actually see the results. You will see where Kaizen can take you. The steps of Kaizen. The Kaizen approach uses the PDCA cycle. P, plan. D, do. C, check. Act. These 4 steps guide you in making continuous improvements, whether in your personal life or at work. Let's look at this in detail. Number 1, plan. Plan. No, I'm not talking about planning a trip to that resort you've saved for months. Of course you can do that later too, but right now FOCUS here. What plan here means is different. Take a look at the different areas of your life where you'd like to see improvement. Think about your goals and dreams. The key is to ensure these changes align with your overall purpose or vision. Start by picking one area that you feel is most important to focus on. A helpful tool here is the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This principle, introduced by management theorist Joseph Juran, suggests that 80% of results come from 20% of causes. In other words, a small number of actions often lead to the majority of outcomes. So when planning your improvements, identify the small changes that will make the biggest impact on your happiness and success. For example, if you're feeling stressed about time management, instead of trying to overhaul your entire schedule, focus on one specific habit, like reducing the time spent on social media. This could lead to significant positive changes in your productivity and overall well-being. During the planning phase, ask yourself these important questions. Why do you want to make this improvement? What problem are you facing that this change will address? What specific result do you hope to achieve? It's important to have a clear, concrete goal in mind. Rather than setting a broad goal like, I want to exercise more, break it down into smaller, measurable steps. For instance, you could set a goal to walk for 15 minutes every day. This small, consistent effort is much more manageable and aligns with the Kaizen philosophy of making 1% improvements daily. To make it even more practical, you might decide to walk during lunch breaks instead of scrolling on your phone. This specific time-bound action is easy to track and helps integrate the new habit into your daily routine. Number 2, do. Then comes the part you might find hard but is actually quite simple. Do. This is where you take your plan and put it into action. It's about making that small change in your lifestyle and starting a new behavior. The challenge now is to make this new behavior a regular part of your routine, so it eventually becomes a habit. Sometimes we might stumble and revert to old habits. It's normal. Our emotions can sway us. Some days we're full of energy and enthusiasm, while other days we feel tired or stressed. It's okay to have these ups and downs. The important thing is not to be too hard on yourself when you have a setback. Even if you miss a day, you're only losing that 1% improvement for the day, and your overall growth trend is still positive. For example, if you've decided to read for 10 minutes every night before bed, there might be evenings when you're too tired or distracted. If you skip a day, don't worry too much about it. What's crucial is that you get back on track the next day. Long-term progress is made by consistently returning to your new habits, even after small setbacks. Number 3, check. Now that you've taken action, it's time for the check phase. This step is all about evaluating how things went during the do stage. It's like having a weekly review session with yourself to see what's working and what needs tweaking. Start by asking yourself some key questions. What went well this week? What didn't go as planned? What can I do differently next time? These questions help you reflect on your progress and identify any areas where you might need to make adjustments. For example, let's say you've been trying to establish a habit of going for a morning walk every day. Maybe you found that some mornings were just too hectic and you couldn't fit it in. During your weekly check, you might realize that a shorter walk or even a quick stretching routine at home could be a more practical solution. It's not about punishing yourself for what didn't go perfectly, but rather about finding ways to improve and keep moving forward. Comparing your actual results with the goals you set in the planning phase can be very insightful. If you aim to walk for 20 minutes each morning, but only manage 10 minutes a few days, that's still progress. Celebrate the steps you've taken and think about how you can build on them. Maybe next week you aim for 15 minutes consistently. The check phase is important because it helps you stay flexible and responsive. It's not about sticking rigidly to the plan, but about learning and adapting as you go. See, not that hard, right? So when you regularly check in with yourself, you keep the momentum going and ensure that your actions align with your overall goals. This reflection process not only helps you stay on track, but also keeps you motivated and focused on continuous improvement. This takes us to our last and fourth step. Number 4, act. In the final phase of the PDCA cycle, we come to act. This is where we take corrective actions based on what we've learned in the check phase. If your new habit or behavior worked well and brought the desired results, congratulations. This becomes your new standard, your baseline for daily life. However, not everything always goes as planned. Sometimes a new habit might not work out the way you hoped. In such cases, you have a choice. You can either revert to your old habits or try something different. The key here is to be flexible and willing to adapt. It's not about sticking rigidly to one plan, but about finding what truly works for you. And hey, if meditating at sunrise isn't your thing, maybe try it at noon. Because who says you can't find inner peace after lunch? What I'm trying to say here is if you aim to meditate every morning, but found it challenging to stick to, maybe try a shorter session or a different time of day. The beauty of the Kaizen approach is that it encourages continuous improvement, so there's always room for adjustments. Remember, the act phase isn't the end. It's a part of an ongoing process. You enter a new PDCA cycle with every action, reflection, and adjustment. This cycle of planning, doing, checking, and acting becomes a natural part of your journey towards self-improvement. It reminds us that we are all work in progress, and that there's always room for growth. Now do you see what the hype was all about? Kaizen doesn't require drastic changes in your routine. It's about getting better by just 1% each day. Remember, the journey of self-improvement is ongoing. It's about continuously assessing, planning, and acting on new opportunities for growth. So what small steps will you take today to improve yourself the Kaizen way? Do you have any self-improvement techniques that have worked for you? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. Let's inspire each other on this journey of continuous improvement. After all, we are here to ascend together.